Welcome to Grad School Life by PhD Balance, a new segment of Grad Chat where we speak to graduate students about the behind the scenes, day-to-day life in their programs. I'm your host, Courtney Applewhite. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm a PhD candidate in the Department of Religious Studies at the University of California, Santa Barbara, studying death. Please don't forget to like and subscribe on your chosen platform to get notifications about new episodes, and maybe leave us a little 5-star review if you're feeling generous. So today I'm joined by Liesl, the now former president of PhD Balance, who has done us the great honor of piloting this new segment. Welcome, Liesl.
Hey, Courtney. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about where you are in your where you are physically, where you are in your program?
Yeah, definitely. So again, my name is Liesl. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm currently at Purdue University in Indiana. I'm on my 4th year of my PhD program. So I previously got my master's degree here in 2018 in biomedical engineering. And now I'm getting my PhD in STEM education in the Polytechnic Institute here at Purdue. And I'm hoping to defend at the beginning of April. And graduate in May. So it's a busy time. As you said, I'm the former president here at PhD Balance. And, I'm just really excited to see all of the cool new stuff that's happening even after I left.
Yeah, no, that sounds really exciting. It's going to happen really quickly, like the defense and the graduation. So congratulations. I'm excited. I'm excited for this next step for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's definitely coming up. Just trying to get, the last couple of things written and sent out to my committee and everything like that.
Yeah, it's probably frantic over there.
A little bit.
Well, we wanted to try something out new with this segment where we ask, what is something you do on a daily basis that gives your PhD life balance?
Yeah, so I actually have a lot of other interests outside of what I do for grad school. And especially recently, I've really discovered that I need to have all of those hobbies and other things. People often say the whole thing about, find something that you love to do and you'll never work a day in your life. And I find that that's not really true for most people. Once something becomes a job instead of a hobby, it's like there's this added pressure and like added stuff. And so I really like my PhD and I like the work that I'm doing. I'm interested in the research, but like, man, if that was my only thing going on, I would not like it. So I like to work out. I have an exercise buddy and I go in the mornings and just it's a great way to start my day. And I'm also super into dog sports. I actually started a small business this past year making vaulting vests for Frisbee freestyle routines with dogs. So I have like a little community of people in the dog sport community out here. And we go on hikes and we train our dogs and we work Frisbee and spring pole and all sorts of cool stuff. So yeah, it's basically, working out, spending time with my dogs, hanging out with my fiance is what I do in my free time.
That sounds amazing. I love the dog sport community as a idea. I think that sounds like a terrific group of people to be hanging out with. I also find it really refreshing to have people outside of your academic program in that way, to have people that are not so involved in the PhD process to kind of give you some perspective too.
Yeah, and it's great because, sometimes we get in our little academic bubble and we kind of forget about like the people who aren't in academia. And one of the things that I love about the dog sport community is just that like they come from all walks of life. And it's really great for seeing perspective and like learning about and just kind of remembering that there's a life outside of academia that we can explore and be involved in.
Absolutely. I think that's totally right. And I think that everyone should look to the places beyond academia for other kinds of support and other kinds of friendships and that kind of thing. I think that's excellent. And so why did you decide to apply to grad school? And when you were applying, what did you think it was going to be like?
Yeah, so originally, I got my degree in electrical engineering from Villanova. And while I was at Villanova, I initially thought that I was going to follow in my dad and my grandfather's footsteps and go into defense contracting work with my electrical engineering degree. I didn't really know what else you could do with that degree. And so I interned at a defense contractor for a summer and I did not enjoy it that much. Um, it was a good job. I got lots of great learning experience there. But I just really realized that the 9 to 5 desk life is not my thing. So the next summer, I took a research position at Purdue instead. And I really loved the flexibility that I could have with that. And also just like the new and exciting stuff. And also the idea that like I could use my degree for something a little bit more humanitarian than the experience that I was getting in contracting work. So I decided that I wanted to dig more into that kind of stuff and dig more into research. And so that's when I actually applied for the PhD program here at Purdue in biomedical engineering, which, you know, after about a year, I realized like straight up research isn't my thing either. I really want to go more teaching. And so I kind of mastered out of that program and switched into the teaching side of it for my PhD. And really, I thought that it was going to be a lot more collaborative when I first came into my program in biomed. I thought that I was going to be working with my lab and there was going to be like a community there. And I'm sure like a lot of people have that experience, but that just wasn't mine. The lab environment that I was in, there were lots of really smart people working in that lab, but we just didn't connect in a really like community building kind of way. And the research projects that we were working on were all so separate that I felt like we were all like in the lab at different times and like working at different times. And so I just wasn't thriving and I got really depressed and just couldn't even bring myself to kind of like finish the workday sometimes. And I think that that's like a common experience that some people feel is like that isolation in grad school, especially when you are like the only one working on a particular research project. And it's not an uncommon experience to have. And, you know, that's kind of why I decided to change where I was working with that.
Yeah. And so what does your day-to-day look like now that you've changed out of that original program and are in more of the teaching side of things, and also where you're at in your program being towards the end now?
Yeah, so initially in my PhD program, I was taking a lot of classes because there's just credit requirements for classwork. So most of my day was spent either teaching or going to classes, and then very minimal like actual research activity happening. So I would do a couple of projects here and there, start to put together like my lit review and outline like my research project. But a lot of it was more like learning and absorbing. Towards the end here now, I am working more on my own again, but like in a more structured way. And my advisor and I have a better working relationship, like just our styles meld better with each other now. So I, you know, wake up Mondays, Wednesdays, I teach. Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, I don't. I have some meetings here and there. But I typically brain dump out what I need to be doing that week at the beginning of the week. And then I pick like one thing that I need to get off of that brain dump each day. So like today, honestly, I needed to respond to some emails. I might do some grading, and then I'm going to work on like my small business for my vests. Monday through Thursday is typically when I'm going to be doing data analysis and outlines. And so I try to like just, you know, break up my work into kind of the Pomodoro method and get some stuff done and take lots of breaks to go do the other stuff that I like doing.
Totally. I think that that's a great approach to it. Would you mind just walking us through just like very logistically, like after you wake up till when you go to bed, like what, like an example day of what it might look like?
Sure. So like let's go with Wednesday. I think that was a really good example. So Wednesday I woke up at like 5:30 a.m. to go to a 6:30 a.m. workout class because my friend bullies me into doing that. Then
We all need friends like that.
oh yeah, she's best friend, but like, man, I hate her sometimes. Um, then I go to my car and I have car coffee time with Liesl for about half an hour as I like decompress. Then I walk over to my classrooms, get set up. I teach 2 back-to-back 50-minute classes in design and innovation. By the time that's done, I'm usually kind of worn out. So I'll walk back to my car, drive home. By then it's lunchtime. So I'll make some lunch for my fiance and I because he's working from home currently. And we'll typically spend like, an hour eating lunch and watching something stupid on TV, petting the dogs. And then after that, I'll come into our little office space at our house. I'll sit down and I'll start doing some outlining for my dissertation right now. So I did that for a couple of hours and worked on a few other things. Around dinner time, I take a nap before dinner because I woke up at 5:30 in the morning. Make dinner, eat, train the dogs, and then typically in the evenings I'll still try to get like done tasks, but tasks that aren't like low brain effort tasks. So like responding to emails is a low brain effort task for me. Working on my vests is a low brain effort task for me. I don't try to get any like writing done during that time unless I'm feeling really motivated. I try to do things that like need to get done, but like aren't super taxing on my brain. So
Yeah, thanks. That actually, I really have a clear picture of sort of the way that you implement those things that you talked about at the beginning about like having balance even throughout your day. But I want to ask, so one of the tasks of grad chat life is to normalize days that don't look like that. So could you give us an example of a day where that maybe was the aspiration, but it didn't turn out that way?
Oh, definitely. Let's see. Probably like a good example, it was like from last semester where there was just like some stuff that like needed to get done, right? Like we all have those days where it's like things need to happen. And so like I basically would like woke up, like didn't go to the gym, like ate breakfast at my desk and like started typing and responding to emails and getting grades done. Like took a break for lunch, but then came right back here and like kept writing until like I honestly just couldn't look at a screen anymore. And then like just went to bed and like repeated it the next day. And I did that during my uh not quals, but like my prelims basically. I had 2 weeks to like respond to like the questions that my committee put forth. And so like I just kind of told my fiance, like, you're not gonna see me for the next 2 weeks. And um just kind of would like wake up, write, take a walk for lunch, write, eat dinner, write, go to bed, repeat, like rinse, repeat. And then I'll also have like days that are the exact opposite of that. Like yesterday, I did a little bit of work in the morning, but then my friend and I went down to Indianapolis to go to a specialty dog food store. And then like we went to Marshall's to work our reactive dogs in a store. And like nothing academic got done yesterday, but like that's fine. Like I needed a day of like not academic stuff, and I feel refreshed today to be able to do it again. So
Yeah, I think that's the whole key, right? Is that you need the days to balance the days that are really challenging, those all day work sessions. You have to have the days that are just kind of off or doing other things that you enjoy. But I will admit that I think your committee is, I know that this is like a common form of exams is where they give you 2 weeks, but me and my committee talked about that. And I was like, I will die if you give me 2 weeks. I was like, let's do it in, I think we landed on 6 hours. I was like, I would rather just do it in like a hard burst of 6 hours and the questions be like shorter. Cause yeah, I can't even imagine the tension of 2 weeks of exam writing.
the nice thing about mine was my committee let me one kind of like give them ideas of what questions they should ask me leading up to it. And two, a lot of the questions were things that like I kind of already had prepared. Like one was basically my lit review. I'd already started my lit review. Like I just needed to refine it.
Yeah.
And I could prepare for that. And then I just like spent 2 weeks writing it and now it's done. Like I'm fine with that. Like that worked for me.
Yeah, I guess that does give you a product at the end, which is great. Whereas
Yeah.
mine was really just a brain dump of all the information that I had learned in the last year, right?
Yeah, that is nice when you have like advisors and community members who understand like, okay, you already have to do this thing. Let's make it worth it for you in the end. I really like that kind of idea. And if I like ruled the world in all of grad schools, I would make sure that everything had a purpose like that. So, hire me for president of academia. I don't know.
That's right. Vote for Liesl.
Yep.
And so, well, what do you want to do next?
That's a really great question. So I am working on applying to a bunch of different schools right now as a faculty member, hopefully like a teaching track kind of position. I've kind of decided that research track isn't necessarily the way I want to go just because managing grant money like scares me a little bit. So waiting to hear back on that. But I'm also like super happy to maybe take like a couple months break, um, work on like some of the other stuff that I've been working on, with like my dog sports and stuff like that, for a little bit and completely just decompress from like the 6 years that has been grad school for me. So, right now I'm just kind of in that waiting period. If I get one of the teaching track jobs, I'll be super happy. But if I don't, luckily, I'm happy to be in a place where like I don't immediately need that. And I can maybe do something else for a little bit while I still apply to other places and think a little bit more critically about, is there somewhere else like non-academic that I would feel comfortable working?
Yeah, excellent. And I think we have to normalize the idea that all jobs are jobs and
Mhm.
that we can definitely aim for certain ones, but acknowledge that there's a lot of things out there that we can all do in the world with our degrees, right?
Exactly. Yes, I'm getting my degree in STEM education after two engineering degrees, but if I decide to quit tomorrow and just fully go dog sport stuff, as I've threatened to do many times in the past 3 months, um, I think that's a totally valid path for me as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that for you either way.
Thank you.
And well, that's all that I have for you today. Thank you so much for sharing with us the day in your life.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It was great talking to you.
Yeah. And thanks to everyone for joining us. This has been Grad School Life by PhD Balance. So for more information about Grad School Life by PhD Balance, you can check out our website, phdbalance.com, or follow us on Twitter and Instagram at PhD_balance. You can follow me at CApplewhiteX on Twitter and Instagram, or follow some of my work at Talk Death Daily. Until next time, bye y'all.